Good evening, everyone. We are live. We are live once again. Another episode of Not A Statistic TV. I am so excited for this episode. I have the beautiful Dr. Keneshia Berkley. This is the episode of I Am Kamala Harris, you all. Anything is possible, you all. So as you guys come on, say hey, say what's up. Tell us where you're coming from. We may not see you come on, but we'll see the comments and then I'll put up on the screen. So I appreciate everyone who's going to be tuning in. Share this broadcast as you all come on. And I'm so excited to dive into this interview with the beautiful Dr. B, you guys. Her story is absolutely phenomenal. So like I said, share this content, and we will definitely go forth. Um, so, Dr. B, how's your night going so far?
My night, it's going amazing. I went to work. I came home, picked up the baby. I'm a clinical pharmacist, so I basically counsel patients throughout the day. Kind of fed the baby and got him nice and clean, and he settled. And now I'm in this interview with you.
Yeah, so I'm so excited. So, as you all come on, share this content. I'm really excited for this interview. This is going to be a great night. So, as you guys come on, say hey. We're going to dialogue with you all as well. So yeah, this is going to be a great night, you all. So, like I said, this is actually the 10th episode of Not Statistic TV. As you all know, we have a hey Lily, how are you? Hey Coach, thank you for joining us. I think it froze. Yeah, so I'm so excited. Thank you for joining us tonight. Share this content, you all. Like I said, this gonna be a powerful interview. So we're gonna dive in. I'm gonna introduce the author, the doctor, the CEO and founder, and thank you so much. Thank you so much. Dr. Keneshia Berkley. So I want to thank you again for the accepting the invitation to come on Not Statistic TV. So tell us a little bit about yourself, how was it growing up for you, and basically your childhood.
Hi guys, as Chanel mentioned, I'm Dr. Keneshia Berkley. I grew up on the west side of Chicago. The west side is the best side.
Right.
I have to represent. But yeah, so I'm from the west side of Chicago. I attended house school. I was lucky enough to actually have my house was literally right next door to the school. So even though like my parents wouldn't let me outside, I could like peek out the window and see. Unfortunately, I want to say see the fights, but I mean that's just what happens when you live on the west side. I mean it's a lot going on outside your doorstep, but so I could pretty much see everything that was going on. From house school, I went to Douglas, which was also right down the street from our house. Our family got a bigger house, of course. And then I went to high school at Lane Tech High School. So all the way through, I was in gifted class. So a lot of people I basically grew up with because the gifted students stuck together. So it was like first grade and second grade, third grade, fourth grade, fifth grade, sixth grade. So the people that you came in school with in kindergarten, once they realized that you were gifted, and gifted just means that you were a little bit more advanced. Like you can catch knowledge really quickly, that you were performing at a bit of a higher skill set than your normal peer. So you pretty much grew up with these people, and some of these people are like my good friends still today, because it's like when you spend that much time with each other and there's never any type of intermingling of classrooms, like you just kind of go up the ladder. So yeah. Then I went to Lane Tech High School, which was wonderful. That's a very diverse high school. It's on the north side of Chicago. And a lot of my good friends till this day are still from Lane Tech. So that was an amazing experience. And I think that probably what was most influential to my success was probably just having strong parents. And I believe that the reason why I believe that is because I did so poor in high school. Because I mentioned to you that I actually didn't graduate high school on time. I went to night school. I went to weekend school, still didn't graduate. I went to summer school and I finally graduated. But that just goes to show you that it doesn't matter where your race begins. Like you can make your life whatever you want to make it, and it doesn't matter that you know, you may look like you're at the bottom of the totem pole. You may not be able to be the valedictorian, but that doesn't mean that you can't be the most successful person or that you can't strive for your goals, because the race of life, it just equals out some type of way. Like, you know, your peers are in front of you, then you're in front of your peers, and they're back in front of you again. And we're not really racing against each other. But it just goes to show you that, like, anything is possible. Just because you don't graduate, or just because you get pregnant, or just because you get locked up, doesn't mean that there's not bigger and better things.
This is good. Man, if you have not already done so, please like, share this interview. Dr. B is AKA, look, AKA Dr. B, guys. When I tell you she's already dropping gems and we not even 10 minutes in, absolutely. Thank you, Felice. Thank you, bro. Thank you for tuning in tonight. Um, this is phenomenal. Okay, so let's backtrack. So you said you was, you in grammar school and you from the west side of Chicago, as we all know, and you were in there with the gifted kids, right? So you had you kind of grew up, and was kind of learned with your friends, and well, now you're friends because obviously you all went from a long period of whole grade school together, so you all learned together, so that was good. So you all was gifted, like you said, that you all was all together and you all learned together and different things of that nature. So just fast forward to Lane Tech. Now, most of you all may or may not know, Lane Tech is one of the best schools in Illinois. I'm not gonna lie, it's like one of the top tier schools. So that's phenomenal. But you said something that was very profound. You said that anything is possible, right? So as you like you stated, in grammar school, you were gifted, which you are, and but you didn't graduate with everyone else initially, your class. So you said you went to night school, you did all type of things to make sure you graduate. So how was their emotions going through with that process?
I think one of my biggest assets, and probably one of my the biggest things I need to work on, is that a lot of times I'm not emotionally affected. Like, things that I should have this strong reaction to, I don't have a reaction to. But things that are minuscule, like for instance, when I was in high school, I spilled guacamole on my shirt. I would have a mental breakdown. Oh, I'm gonna look dirty all day. People are gonna be looking at me. But you didn't graduate on time, and I did not care. I just did not care. And I was just thinking to myself, I'm not sure if this is already a book. If it is not a book, please don't steal my title.
Come on. But copyright. You do not own the copyright.
We need to, you need to fail your way to success, because it's like, if you never put it out there to do it, you will never know how to improve it or how to fix it. And I was just telling you about how, I did a show and my sound went out on me, and I had pretty much stayed up all night trying to perfect it, and my sound went out, and I felt so deterred in the morning. Like, what do people think about me? They probably think I wasn't prepared, which is not true. I was over prepared. But some things are just out of our grasp. Like, some things we just can't have control over. And then the next day, like, somebody photographs my cosmetics, like a big photographer. And I'm like, I could have got so easily distracted and so easily deterred, but right around the corner, there was gold. So
wow.
Yeah, we just have to be very careful and very mindful. But as we mentioned, yeah, it didn't really affect me that I didn't graduate high school on time. And I just want to kind of take that piece and tell you guys about, like, how important it is to stay focused. And when I mean, like, stay focused, of course, if I didn't graduate high school on time, of course it seems like I was not focused, and I wasn't. But one thing I don't do is focus on other people. So whatever those people were doing, they were so far ahead of me and so far away from me that there was nobody to laugh at me. And I feel like sometimes if you don't put certain situations out there, if you don't put certain things about yourself out there in the public, like, you don't have to face the public, because nobody knows. And I feel like everybody who graduated was so far away, and the new students had not come in yet. So all I'm in there with is a bunch of people who failed like I did. So, that didn't affect me. I just, did my best, and I graduated. And right after that, I literally went to college the next day. I graduated and my bags were packed. And I went to college, and I kept saying, like, college it didn't even open for like a month and a half, 2 months. I literally had to stay, like, in a hotel and stay with my cousin. My mom was like, oh, you're going. Like, you're going. And I was on the airplane at the airport going to college the next day.
Wait a minute. This is good. If you have not already done so, like, share this broadcast. Oh my gosh, she just dropped so many jewels. First thing, the first jewel that she dropped was you have to fail to success. What? You have to fail to success. I never heard anything like that before. Like, I never. So you say you have you, and then you also talked about how, okay, we know that you didn't graduate with your original class, but one thing you said was that focus on yourself. And when you look at that, the people that graduated, they was long gone, right? And then you said the people that was left were people that was kind of like in the same predicament with you, or people who was coming in, because when people go out, some people come in, so it's whole new freshmen, so they don't know. But can you talk about how you had to fail to success? And also you talked about how it really didn't affect you, while really emotionally, because of that. And some people would have been depressed, had all type of doubt, all type of fear, all maybe low self-esteem or insecurities, but you had that term that was different for you. So can you talk about that, about you had to fail to succeed? That was really good.
Yeah, and I know I think it's more popular now that I'm older more than ever. That people are like going back to school. People are older and giving themselves a second chance. People are like mothers with like full blown families and still, going back to school. There are fathers who are like, working grade shift and, going to school in the morning to be a lawyer. And I think we've learned as a society, like, it's okay to be the oldest person in the classroom. It is okay. It's okay. And I don't think anybody's looking at you because they're too busy struggling. Everybody in there is struggling. So you don't have to worry about people thinking like you're the oldest person. And black don't crack. So we all look, once we get like 20, 25 years old, we all pretty much look the same age. So, nobody can really tell.
Wow. This is phenomenal. So then you also talked about that the next day, once you did graduate during the summertime, you went straight to college. So tell us about your journey going into college, and what college did you attend?
I attended Kentucky State University, which is a historically black college.
Whoop, whoop.
Oh, do you want me to name all the colleges I attended?
Right. Okay. So you went to Kentucky State.
I went to Kentucky State University, and I think I had like at that time, they were like really supporting minorities going to school. And it's not that we don't say that we support minorities going to school now, but I think the funding has decreased because even when I was in school, some scholarships that I went in on, they no longer existed by like my second or third year. So going into school at a historically black college, that was an amazing experience, but I didn't finish there. And I think the reason why I didn't finish is because it was too easy. It was handed to me. Somebody gave me a ticket, packed my luggage, put me on a plane. My cousin, Keneshia Berkley, signed me up for my classes. So it was fair to me. It was like fair to me to go to college. Like, this is what you do. This is your class. Somebody walked me to the door, got me a hotel in the summer. So I'm just saying it was just way too easy. And I felt also the fact that it was a historically black college is an amazing thing. And some people say they dream of going to a historically black college. And I definitely strongly encourage it. But I also think if you're coming from a very diverse school like Lane Tech, where we have people who speak multiple different languages, every skin color that you can think of, like, we're all intermingled. All of our friends are different. We have friends that are like, Japanese, friends who are African, friends who are African American, Chinese, Puerto Rican, like all in one group. So, we don't really separate. We weren't separated by color at Lane. And it was a little different when I got to a historically black college because seeing everybody together, and it's like, now you only have like one group, and then it's just like who's the most popular, and it was just a little awkward because it wasn't like those. It was like 50,000 little groups in Lane Tech, and you can be popular as long as somebody liked you and you had somebody to talk to. You felt popular even if you weren't. And I think that was tough. And I think also because it was fed to me that I didn't really rise to the challenge. And there were multiple classes that I took over and over again. Like, people were like in a group talking about wood shop, and I was like, haha, yeah, I took that 5 times. And they were like, girl, what happened? You seriously? And I'm like, yeah, you didn't know I took wood shop like 5 times? Some things I just couldn't get. And I also think because I'm left-handed.
Me too.
Oh, wow. I think I like cut the wood different, and the tools weren't made for left-handed people
At all. I've been saying that forever.
So yeah, the guy didn't have no problem failing me. So
wow.
But yeah, I think it was the fact that it was hand-fed to me that I was not able to accomplish my goals. And then it took me about 3 or 4 schools later, and basically for me to run out of financial aid when they start sending the letters like, you've been in school 5 years, this is a 4-year degree, like now you're going to pay for it yourself. And literally it took for me to actually start working full time and pretty much paying class by class. I think I was paying for like 4 or 5 classes at a time. And then all of a sudden it's like A, B, B, A. Like, and that's how I got into pharmacy school, because it meant so much more, because I had to pay for it, and I wasn't going to keep paying for like another 5 years. And in total, like literally from the time that I was in college to the time I went to pharmacy school, I would say it was about, I graduated in 2004. I got into pharmacy school in 2013. And I was in school the entire time.
Oh, Jesus. Let's backtrack a little bit. It was something that you said. You drop little nuggets and then you go on. You keep on going. It's like everything you were saying was just so valuable. And what you said was, it was fed to me, so I didn't rise up to the challenge. So, like you said, your cousin applied, she helped you out pretty much to get into college. You had a ticket to go. So it wasn't that, it was just like, okay, it's going to come, because it came natural for you. So it wasn't like a big, oh my God. And like you also said, I really haven't heard that as well, depending on the college though, that the HBCU wasn't a challenge for you. It was pretty easy. And for me, I always had wanted to be at HBCU. That was my goal. That was my, dream, to go to HBCU, right? But God works in mysterious ways. But what you said was, it was fed to me, so I didn't raise up to the challenge. So would you agree that when people are, hand spooned and, don't have to really do much on their own, they tend to have a problem to be challenged? Would you say that?
I definitely agree. Like, there's no reason, if I'm gifted from 1st to 8th grade and I'm at a gifted college, high school, there's no reason for me to have failed, literally not even made it in night school or the weekend school, like, to just fail like that. But I think it was just because I didn't know that, it's real out here and you have to struggle for everything that you have. And like, because I just didn't come off the struggle bus. So then I just, either it was going to go either way for me. Like, either I was going to learn the hard way, or, I was going to go on the right path. And I just feel like it's really hard to go on the right path, because you can pretend. Like, if you're at school, nobody knows what you're doing. So you can pretend. Exactly. You can hide your grades, and then people, it's 4 whole years that you can pretty much cheat your parents. Like, so nobody would know that you're doing bad until it's time to graduate and you don't have a cap and gown. So
ooh-wee. That is true. That is true. You can hide. It's just like social media. You can hide and act like this. You can act like that, but be a totally different person. You could really be totally opposite off this platform, even in school. So that was really good what you said. If you have not already done so, like, share this. She's dropping so much gems. Thank you everyone who has tuned in, even everyone who may watch the replay. So let's talk about you going into the transition, going into pursuing your doctoral degree. So can you talk more about, like, was it a dream for you to obviously be a doctor? How was that for you?
Well, actually, when I was a kid, and my mom will always say this, because I have these thoughts in my head, because we get older and we don't know a fact from fiction. Like, we're like, oh, I think I used to like to do this, and then somebody will solidify it and say, yeah, you did like to do that. Or like my kid likes dinosaurs, and my mom would be like, oh, remember when you liked dinosaurs? And I'm like, oh, so that was true. I really did want to be a paleontologist. That's what, like, that was my thing. Jurassic Park, all of that. Like, my thing was like dinosaur bones. Like, I was gonna get out there in the desert sand and scrape for those bones. Like, that was my like thing that I wanted to do.
Right.
But it's so funny, like, when you move into high school, like, you transition, like, all of the thoughts and the dreams and the goals kind of like go from your head, and now you're just focused on like having fun for that day. pretty much, like goofing off with your friends, having fun, you know, everything that happens before and after school, but not really what's happening in the classroom. So pretty much being a pharmacist, I worked at Our Lady of Peace Hospital, which is in Kentucky, because my historically Black college was in Kentucky. So I worked at OLAP for quite a while. So basically we dealt with people, or children actually, who pretty much were kicked out of the system. OLAP was the lowest place on the totem pole. So that meant that if you were there as a child, you were the baddest of the baddest. Like, you got kicked out of every foster home, you got kicked out of every shelter. We only housed, we were the bottom of the totem pole. So like, we did like 5-way restraints. And OLAP taught me a lot. Like, it was just so weird that I would have worked like in a place where we dealt with mental illness, but it taught me so much, because not only was I like hand-fed by my parents, but I also lacked confidence. And I didn't, and it's like, you think you're confident because you have material things, but like I told you, like when you go to a HBCU, and then you have a lot of kids who might have 2 parents, or a lot of people who may have material items. So material items can't carry you anymore. People don't care about that. So then it's like you have to rely on personality, and if you don't have no personality and no character, like, you're not going to get far. So I was like in culture shock for real. Like, at least like my outfit could get you in the door. You know, you want to sit by me at the table. Right. Now people don't care. So, yeah, it was crazy. So OLAP, pretty much, I definitely appreciate all the nurses there as well, and all the mental health patients as well, because I think I was like 20, and our oldest kid in the facility was like 17 years old. So like, it just really taught me like how to have confidence, how to look people in the eye, how to like not be so naive, because it's like, if you don't look them in the eye, like, they're gonna catch you off guard and sneak you, and that's just the way that it is. Because this was that, it wasn't because like they hate you, but it's just sometimes they just show affection by hitting. Like,
because that's all what they know, pretty much.
And it's crazy. So basically, I wanted to be a nurse. Because all of the people at OLAP, like, basically you go to OLAP, you're a mental health associate, and then there's 2 things that you can pretty much do, because there are only 3 positions there, really. Like, okay, so there's a mental health associate, which I was already that at 20 years old. And then you can be a nurse, or you can be a psychiatrist. So a psychiatrist was like too far-fetched, like too much work. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll be a nurse. And then all the nurses were like, oh, why don't you go down and intern in the pharmacy? And I'm like, and I had already gotten to nursing school, mind you. So I'm supposed to like start nursing school in a couple months. And they're like, yeah, why don't you go intern in the pharmacy? So I go down and intern in the pharmacy. And then literally after that, I pretty much extracted myself from the nursing program and basically did all the prereqs for pharmacy school. And that's what took me so long, because pharmacy was never the plan. So now, guys, if you want to be a pharmacist, you can actually be a pharmacist in 6 to 7 years. Like, you don't have to do it, and you don't have to do like your associates, your bachelor's, your master's, and then your PharmD. You can actually go, if anybody's interested. It is saturated right now in Illinois, but if you live somewhere else, or, you know, maybe you want to give it a shot, it's a very lucrative position. I love to stimulate the STEM. Like, I love to talk about science, math, engineering, things like that, because it's like a lot of things that we weren't introduced as like Black children. So I just want to know, you could be a doctor in 6 to 7 years. You basically go to school, you get your associates, you do the prereqs, and then it's 4 years of pharmacy school. And now they even have accelerated programs where they can get you out in 3 years. So but I went through a hard, long way.
But you came out on top, though. That's the thing, you know, like you talked about earlier in the show, that, you know, when you focus on yourself, you ultimately, like, just even hearing you really focus in on yourself. Like, you know, you granted, growing up, you was gifted, like you said, it still is, you know, was in a gifted program, and then, you know, high school was, you know, different, right? And then you, like you said, everything was pretty much spoon fed, but you had to learn once you got out of home, you really learned the real world, like working in the field, you know, and being in a hospital where, you know, you had to deal with people who have mental illness, right? And that's a whole nother different, you know, lane that most people, if you don't live with somebody with that, or you know, maybe even dealing with that yourself, it's something totally different, right? Everyone is different when you have a mental illness, right? So you really don't know what to expect out of a person depending on what they have, you know. So, and for you to have to learn, because some people learn childhood, but you learn when you basically was adult, right? So your life was totally different than most people, you know, like myself, and I'm sure some people on here that may see this live or see this on a replay, you know, they life, they had to learn early on, you know, and then they knew what not to do when they grew up, you know, when they got older. But look at you, like, and for you to still, you know, have that drive and that determination despite of, you know, your growing up was different for you, you still press forward and say, you know, I'm gonna make a life for myself and I'm gonna learn whatever I need to learn. So that was really good, and you just really blessed me, and you just gave some knowledge to some people who felt like they had to be in school for 10, 12 years for, you know, for MD. So that was really good. So can you talk more about, you know, even about mental health, right? So like you said, STEM is really not you know, really out, you know, far as unless you're in a specific program in your school district. But can you talk about the mental health though? The mental health, a lot of people, I'm gonna say the African American community, are not educated on how it's important to have Jesus and therapy. So can you talk about that, please?
Yeah, I think mental health is extremely important because I was in Kentucky. Of course, the dynamic is mostly Caucasian,
Okay.
but of course, we also did have our African American patients as well. But I would say, like, for me, what I saw personally, a lot of the African American mental health issues that felt like our patients were facing came from sexual abuse. And
Okay.
like, so we dealt with a lot of like the young kids who had HIV, or the young kids who, um, pretty much were molested, and then
Okay.
the behavior problems pretty much stimulated from that. And then we had to deal with the STDs. We had to deal with, and it's not easy because it's like, and even in those small places, like everybody knows your business, so it's just not easy because it's like we have to like not only mentally treat these patients, but we have to physically treat these patients as well. Like, for instance, if a patient has herpes and they can't sit down, like the kids just know, like, and then we have to give them like these hot, like cyst baths. Basically, it's like a hot bath that kind of helps the herpes burst. But it's difficult because it's like you treating mental health, but then they also come in with other problems, so you also are treating them, physically as well. And I just think mental health is extremely important. It's like, don't be scared to go and like take a time out. And the actual OLAP is beautiful. It actually stemmed because Ford had a really big plant in Kentucky. Okay. And so rich people would pretty much go for mental health breaks because we have a pool, we had a bowling alley, and some of these things we also, because this place has been standing forever, like when we had like new administrators and stuff, they would like release us to the bowling alley or release us to play on the grounds, and they had to give us clearance. And the reason is because, like, if you have a kid and they run and you can't chase them, because if you chase them and they get hit by a car, then pretty much you cause that damage because you chase them into the street. Wow. So it's a beautiful place. It really just started off as like a retreat, but then when they found out, Ford, of course, like Detroit and a lot of other places, like Ford closed, a lot of the car factories closed, so the money left as well. And then that's when they really focused in on children because they can get funding, because children will, in this world, children will always be funded and always be able to bring in revenue. So yeah, mental health is extremely important. It's nothing to be ashamed of. I feel like I see it all over social media now more than ever, that people are really focusing on healing.
Yes. Absolutely, especially during this pandemic, right? Because I mean, this is the first time in history that we all was going through the same thing at the same time, right? Like we all was in a pandemic, right? We all, some, made millions. Some people, but some people, it took a real big toll on them mentally, emotionally, financially, spiritually, right? So now I would say this year more than ever, I have really seen, us African American, community have really been stepping up and taking the necessary steps to get healing. And I think it's so essential. It's so essential to go forth and check on your um, mental state. So that is really good. Thank you, Donald, for joining us tonight. Absolutely had to grow fast. Yeah, I did as well. But some people's journey is different. So, Dr. B, can you talk about your business, right? Because I had some people was like, wait, so she's a doctor and she's a CEO. I said yes. So, and also you are a mom and you just got engaged this year, right? Come on, Vicarin, come on. So congratulations to you and
Thank
your
you.
fiance. So talk about that, like, how you started with your business. Talk about Labs.
Okay, so I am a pharmacist, of course, and I am a female, and I don't want to put stereotypes, but just with certain type of jobs and certain type of gender, people may think you're prissy, like you like fancy things, you like nice things, but I'm just the opposite. Like people will be like, "Where'd you get that from?" I'm like, "I had this for 10 years. Like literally, I've had this suit jacket for 10 years. I found this necklace in the drawer. I flipped my shirt backwards because it had writing on it. So I'm so not, I'm really go with the flow." And so I tell my fiance like every holiday, I'm like, "Hey, keep it cool, on my presents. I don't really need." Thank you. Somebody said, "Come on, ring."
Right. Yes, it's beautiful.
Thank you. So I'm like, hey, I don't really need that many presents, like because I just don't like spending money frivolously because you never know what may happen tomorrow. And as you know, like in college, like when you're living from like check to check, you pretty much have to make it stretch. So you really know how to stretch a dollar. And it's not that I'm good with finances, but I'm really good at being like, ooh, like I'm getting close to the end, and I will never stop feeling that way. I will never stop feeling that way because you have to wait till the next check until you get, whatever you need, whether it's food, clothes, whatever. So anyway, I kind of asked him on Mother's Day not to like go overboard with presents, and I'm like, hey, if you want to invest in something, or if you could just actually give me that money and I can start a business. So he did, and he was like, well, how much are you thinking? I'm like, I think I need $500. So anyway, I think I probably got flowers and $500, and that's how I started my business. And I kept flipping the $500. I never went back in my own bank account. Like if I didn't make a sale, like right now, and I know this is so silly. My sister called me and said, why don't you have business cards? And I said, I do have business cards. I print them on paper. And then she's like, why do you print them on paper? They're like $20. And I'm like, no, actually they're $11. And I print them on paper because Baddie Labs has not made me any money today. And I cannot afford to buy these business cards. I'm like, so I have to pay the bills for Baddie Labs first. I have to buy, new material to make new products. And then if I have $20 left over after that, I will get some business cards. And then she's like, oh, well, that makes sense. And I'm like, yeah, because I'm not going to continue to. Baddie Labs is a baby, but I'm not going to buy that baby like if it already has formula. I'm not going to go buy that baby like a Gucci belt. Like, no, because I am the business, and I felt like the photographer liked my little, business card. She got a lot of information. She got the information that she needed off of it to talk about the product. So I felt like it did the purpose of what it's supposed to do. And sometimes you buy like these, business cards or these necessities that you think you need for your business, and people toss them. Or like, how many times have I seen like one of our flyers, like from the Jerk Shop? I want to shout out the Jerk Shop. That's one of our family businesses. Like, you give them a flyer and it's thrown on the floor. And I expect that. But I'm just saying that's why you don't need to buy like quality paper, because like people are going to like put these flyers in their car. They're going to sit on them, wipe their hands with them. So I'm just saying, like, don't focus on the pretty, focus on the gritty. Like, get down how you live in your business. Like, you know what I mean?
Focus on the gritty.
Yeah, because it's like you can make it as pretty as it wants, but if you're not making any money off of it, like.
Absolutely, Nini. Thank you for joining us, sis. Right. Redefine what is necessary. Exactly. Like and what you said was, I am the business. Come on. Like, and listen, you said Baddie Labs and they make me no money. Listen, I gotta focus on other things. It's some things that Exactly. I am. Put that on the shirt, please. Exactly. This is my graphic designer. Exactly. Put that on the shirt, girl.
And I don't know why all day Lil Wayne has been popping in my head, like my whole style is fly. I am a group. And it keeps popping in my head. I'm like, how am I a group? I don't sing, I don't dance. It just kept popping in my head. But it's like the one man show, and you really can. I think what I learned most is like you do need help. Reach out for help when you need it, but also you're smart. Depend on yourself. Like you can get to where you need to go, and then when you can afford to hire other people and uplift other people, that's when you do it. But you don't want to drain your income or drain your business, and then your business can't stay afloat because you try to, pretty much put money in everybody's pocket. Like if you can't afford to do that, you shouldn't do that until you're able to afford it. And then you can go and get people and say like, hey, I want to uplift you. Or like the moms, like we were talking about how good Baddie Labs would be as like a work at home business. Like we get the orders, like here, you take all of our products and you package them. Like that would just be such a good business for moms to do, or people who like got laid off to do, and then once we can afford that, that's totally fine. But right now, like we're just, packaging our own goods and we're staying afloat.
Absolutely. Don't focus on a pretty, focus on a gritty. Exactly. That was cold when she dropped that. Exactly, Nina. You did need help. Reach out when you need it, but you're strong enough to start off. And that's really good. And this is coming from, new business owners, right? Like, and I think that is so profound what you said. Like, if you can't afford it, okay, but you already said you see someone with, Baddie Labs, and but you're very smart about it, right? You want to, you like they say with the baby, you said, why buy the baby Gucci when they already got formula? Like, I mean, why are you trying to jump a step to get to somewhere? And honestly, it's really sometimes for show, right? It ain't even something that you may need. It's not essential for the business. It is something that you feel as though, like you said, pretty, or it can be a nice look. So can you talk about Baddie Labs, because it just goes hand in hand with obviously your position as a doctor, labs, right? And can you talk about what was your passion behind it? What's your passion behind it?
Yeah, so I used to order this foundation. So first I got it from a drugstore because, as I told you, like even if when I have it or if I have it, I never really want to spend it. I just cannot see myself paying like $40 and $50 for something that the $12 products work even better. So I had this like special foundation. I used it for like somebody actually gave me a bottle of foundation that they didn't want. And I was like, this is my perfect color. I literally wore it for maybe about 7 to 8 years. So the first 5 years I wore it regular. The next time I couldn't find it. I only can find it at certain drugstores. So I would have to go to specific drugstores to get it. Then I couldn't find it at all. So I ordered it off Amazon. And then Amazon took it off of Prime and basically put it on like a subscription order. And then it'll tell you like 5 bottles, 4 bottles, 3 left. And literally it was just off the market. And I kind of researched it recently, right before I started Baddie Labs, like, oh, what happened to the makeup line still exists, but the contract for ethnic products, I don't think it exists anymore. Because I'm like, and I kept looking up like, what happened to this person endorsing this product? Like, why did this product get pulled off the line? Because it was like literally the perfect coverage, the perfect color. I mean, it was just amazing makeup in a perfect price as well. And I'm like, you know what? I can do this. And I asked my fiance, just to give me money instead of giving me like things that I can't use. Like we're in COVID. So having an extra pair of shoes, like I haven't even been able to wear the shoes I got for Christmas because we can't go anywhere. We can't do anything.
Right.
So, yeah, so I pretty much came up with Baddie Labs Cosmetics. I called it Baddie because like a baddie, you say like, oh, she's a baddie, or oh, he's a baddie. And then Labs comes from the fact that I'm a pharmacist, and then cosmetics, of course, because it's a cosmetic company. But we're a 100% Black-owned cosmetic company. We pretty much try to make and formulate almost all of our products. Most things that we create are vegan and cruelty-free. So basically, we try to cater to African American descent, but we have like 42 different shades of foundation, so we can actually pretty much match just about anyone. And we also use artificial intelligence, and I think that's a really cool thing right now, because with COVID, even if you went to one of the high-priced beauty stores, you wouldn't be able to try on anything. You wouldn't be able to pretty much match anything because it's unhygienic for us to share makeup or for us each to touch the bottle. So I think artificial intelligence is great because you answer a couple of questions like, what is your skin tone? Is this your color? Are you closer to this color? Do you have a yellow undertone? Do you have an olive undertone? Do you have a golden undertone? Are you neutral? So you answer those questions and then you upload a photo of yourself to my app. And then pretty much the robot or artificial intelligence pretty much matches your skin tone. And then because we're in lighting, right? So it pretty much finds the most natural part of your face, like the part of your face that's unfiltered and unbothered by the light. And it takes that shade and matches it with each one of my foundations until it finds the perfect one. And if it can't match you, it just won't match you. It won't give you something that, like, although I would love to match everyone, and everyone probably does match, but if the robot cannot match you, it'll just say no result. But most of the time we do get a result, and the more people use it, the better and the smarter that the robot becomes. And we haven't failed yet. We haven't had anyone say like, oh, that wasn't my color. And we actually matched the photographer recently, and she said, by the way, I've never been able to find my perfect match online. I forgot to tell you that part.
Wow. I never even heard a cosmetic business that does that. Like I was starting with Maybelline, but I think I'm gonna start with Baddie Labs. I mean, why not? You know, because it's black owned. But that is phenomenal. So okay, so Baddie Labs, the name is because obviously she baddie, you know, baddie. It's a good, phrase to use in a word. And just labs because obviously you pharmacist, so that's awesome. And also you said that also Nene said it, find a significant other that would invest in your dreams and not just your wardrobe. And for you to just say, you know what, babe, I don't even want nothing. I just want you to invest money into my business. Just give me money for my business and I'll go from there. And you said you kept flipping the $500. And you said you all have 42 shades.
42 shades. 42 shades. We have it. I mean, I made these colors so dark because I just felt like for the people out there who are like truly, women with extremely deep skin, I really wanted them to have something. And for people who are my color, I feel like those two colors are the ones that kind of get passed up. I feel like, a lot of other beauty companies have brown skin down packed. But if it's just a tad bit lighter and if it's extremely dark, I feel like I've never even, honestly, like depending on what area you're in, sometimes they have no ethnic makeup at all. And if they do, they would have like 3 colors. And I didn't even realize that these brands carry like 50, but will only stock 3. But African Americans are purchasing, I think it was like $15 billion worth of products, and we had like less than 1% of the shelf space. And that's where the eye pledge came from. The eye pledge 15%. And I was so shocked because out of all of this, like support Black people, buy from a Black woman. I was really shocked because I kind of was following that movement and I stopped following it for a couple of months and I went back and I just knew that this page was going to be full of people who would donate 15% of their shelf space to Black or African American products, and literally it had not budged since those first couple of people donated. And I couldn't believe that. Like, I'm like, we purchased a lot of products, and some of these people, some of these huge, and I don't want to, call out names just in case I'm begging for a spot on the shelf, next year.
I get it.
I don't want to call out names, but I was really shocked because I'm like, we purchase a lot of products. We're known to be consumers. Like, and we can't have any of your shelf space.
Exactly. So, yeah, it happens. It does happen that way. And now that like I said, the pandemic really changed the trajectory of a lot of things, especially with systems and, brands. But, just even with the pandemic, it's all, especially from May to June and even up until now, like it's been like a lot of Black Lives Matter. So a lot of brands have been trying to bring awareness to, the care and, to just kind of like serve the African American community. So, hopefully as a nation that we get better at that, to really acknowledge, African Americans, because we are essential. We like you said, we are the top consumer, especially in cosmetics. So I believe that to be true. So can you tell us, Dr. B, What makes you not a statistic?
I would say I thought about this question a little bit earlier. Sorry, I think I need to clear my throat. Sorry about that.
Take your time.
Okay. So I think what makes me not a statistic is just coming from a strong family background, because it's like you would think that a parent is supposed to nurture a child, but it's so hard to come home just being an adult now. And I feel like I'm thinking like with my kid in my back car, that I felt like I was just in the back of someone's car just recently, like being a kid. So now that I'm an adult, now this is my first kid, I'm realizing like how hard it is to like help my fiance get ready for work. You know, pretty much work on Baddie Labs at the crack of dawn before the sun comes up, go to my real job, you know, pick up my kid, and then still come home and still have to teach him. And I'm like, there was not a day that went by that my parents did not, like, you know, help me with my homework, that they didn't, and I even got a whooping. And I know, I thought it was like funny, and I'm not trying to say like my dad or my parents tortured me, but I remember like counting out oranges and doing division with oranges and unpeeling all the oranges, and then because I kept getting everything wrong, I had to eat all the oranges. So so I remember that, like, you know, and I'm just thinking to myself, like, you know, and you kind of have that, like, one parent's better than the other. And I feel like my mom spent way more time with me, but I'm like, wow, look at my dad, like in a world where so many men are not in their kids' lives, like sitting down at the table with me when he could have been watching a game or could have been doing anything else. And I'm like, and I honestly think that having that core stability and that core training helped me throughout my life, because I tell my fiance all the time, I'm like, I did not learn anything in high school, and it wasn't because the teachers weren't willing to teach. It was because I was unwilling to learn, because I walked in so confident, because I was always like the top of my class, like 1st through 8th grade. I walked in with so much confidence that they couldn't teach me nothing. They couldn't tell me nothing. And then at the end of like my schooling, even before I didn't even know that I was going to graduate, one of the teachers like was telling me like, your writing concerns me. And then she was like, you know, I don't know like how you're going to fare in college because your writing concerns me. And I'm like, it concerns you? And I was thinking I can write if I want to, you know, like I could write good.
Right.
I was just playing.
Right.
But honestly, like, and when I got into college and I tested like so low in so many areas, and I'm like, these are really things that I should have learned in high school, but I was paying no attention to it. And because I tested so low, I couldn't even start in the college classes. I actually had to start like below and then work my way up to the college classes. And I literally have to still master like calculus, master physics, because you can't get into pharmacy school unless you have like good grades in those classes. But I'm just saying, like, you know, use your time wisely. And it's not because you want to be the best student or because you want to appease the teachers or because you want to pat in your head. It's like whatever you don't do now, you're going to do later. Either you're going to do it hard now or you're going to do it hard later. There's no easy way. So either you're going to work really hard now, you're going to have one really good job, or you're going to not work really hard now, and then you're going to work 3 jobs that are super hard and still make a little bit of money. Like, there's no easy way out. There's no easy way to do it, because we all have to survive. And like, either you can survive the you know, all of it is hard, but either you can survive and like, you know, thrive, or you can pretty much be scratching and scraping, but working harder than anybody else, because we have so many people out here who work so hard.
Yeah, that's true. So true. Wow,
So
that's good. Okay, that was awesome. Like, for you to say that, you know, it's really, and I hate to say it, that it's not really normal that it's a two-parent home now, you know, especially in the African American community. You know, it's usually like the single mom or the single dad, or, you know, the kids out with the grandparents. For you to have a strong foundation within your home, you have both of your parents there who were active. You know, like you said, your dad could have been doing all type of things, watching the game, sleeping, or whatever it is, but he was active with you. He showed you, he taught you, you know, this was your mom. So for you to have that, honestly, it can be abnormal. And now it's becoming now better for most people, but most people don't have that story to say, you know what, I have both of my parents there. You know, some people may have both of their parents in their life, but maybe not in the same household. So for you to have that, that's remarkable. And something that you said that was so profound, that you know, you walked in, you know, high school very confident, like, you know, you can't teach me nothing. But it wasn't that they couldn't teach you, it's that you said that you really didn't have the open heart and mind to really receive what they did, that what it was that they wanted to teach you. So a lot of times, as we being young, or just having that, I would say, that confidence in ourselves, that we feel like, that we are the top, right? That nobody can teach us nothing. But that's a lot of, that comes with a lot of other stuff. It's a lot of reasons why that. But I really believe that was so profound what you said, though. Is sometimes it's not that people can't teach us. It's just, where are you willing to learn? Because as long as we have breath, listen, y'all, we're going to be learning. So I really, really enjoyed this interview. I want to thank everyone who came on. I want to thank you again, Dr. B, for joining us. So one last thing before you leave, and then you're going to tell us about how they can stay contact with you, and obviously purchase your cosmetic line. Is what would be advice that you would give someone, right, who may be in between the ages of 18 to maybe 30, right? What would you say to that person who have a lot going on, right? They facing so many different challenges, but they don't know how to press forth, how to go back to school, how to, launch that business or start that book, right? So what would you say to them? Thank you, Felice.
I have a lot of advice, actually. And guys, please forgive me and just message under here because I'm still learning with everybody else, but I've also made so many mistakes. So please just message me and correct me and just help me out as I grow as well. But my first advice is, if you're from 18 to 30, your time is now, because you're old before you know it. I got down and I was dancing and I felt my tendon, and I know what a tendon is, and I felt it. And it's just like, you're old before you know it. So you think that you have time, but you really don't have time. And all of that, I'm taking a break. I'm taking a year off. I'm going back next year. Like, I don't want to hear that. Because, like, next year, you don't know what next year may bring. Like, you may get sick. A parent may get sick. You may get pregnant. You may have to have 2 jobs. Something may happen, that COVID may happen. And it's very hard to, and shout out to everyone, all the people who are e-learning, even the college people who are e-learning. It is hard because things are 10 times harder when you can't sit in the classroom, because if that computer's on and somebody's talking, you're not listening. It's just not going to work. Your mind holds 15 minutes. It can hold steady for 15 minutes. After those 15 minutes, you're going to get distracted. It's just the way that the brain works. So being in classroom, engaging, that's really important. So your time is now, because a lot of people, all the things that you thought you were going to do this year, traveling, I want to travel next year. Like, no, don't wait, because COVID happened and nobody's traveling. So it's just extremely important. And if you don't have kids, don't have kids. And it's not because I'm telling you that I don't think it's right to have kids, or it's not about wedlock or anything like that, or any belief that I have. I'm telling you, don't have kids, because statistically it says that a woman who has a child at an early age is statistically going to make less money her entire life. Like, it's a statistic. It's not what I think. It's not what society thinks. Like, this is the numbers that are added up, and it shows that women who have had a child at an early age, are more likely to have, like, a lower income. So, if you're not pregnant already, don't get pregnant. I also think that single women are some of the strongest women, because I've seen them come in and be able to really whip it, because they know, I think they're good at organizing their time, organizing their schedule. So I also want to say, like, to all the moms out there, all the people who are like 40 and up, like, I've seen people come in pharmacy school and really kick some butt, because they know, like, the time is now, and they may not get a second chance at this. So you can do it too. But I'm just saying, it would be a lot easier if you didn't have, like, other people that you have to put before yourself. I also want to tell people about the businesses. It's good to talk, and it's good to motivate each other. But I would say, don't talk too much. I don't want to know about what you're going to do. I want to see what you've done. Like, I don't want to hear about, like, what your plan is. You can't tell everybody your plan, because then I feel like when you tell the devil how to attack you, that's not a good idea. And I also want everybody to read the 45 Laws of Power, because it tells you never outshine your master. And I had to learn that, like, never outshine my master. If I think I know more than someone, I would never let them know that I think that I know more, or that I know more, because then it's like, then they're unwilling to teach me, because they don't want me to have the one up on them. You don't want to ever embarrass your master. So, like, it's a lot of, like, laws in there. So the 45 Laws of Power, then 50 Cent came out with the 50 Laws of Power. So that's important too. Reading is important, because I read so much, and and like my mom has a business, my sister has a business, but I never thought that I would be a businesswoman because I had pharmacy school, and I feel like with that type of income, nobody would think that you would even want to do anything extra. You know, you just want to go home and chill. And then you worked all of your life. Like, I've missed so many family events, so many different, you know, friends events, so many parties. Like, I was telling people about, like, how I feel like, no, I don't think everybody should praise me, but I think that people should support me, because I'm like, what about all the time that I worked overnight and then slept in my car because it was not enough time to go home and sleep and then also get up and go to class at 8 a.m. If I'm getting off at 7 from working graveyard shift at the hospital, there's no way I could be at school by 8 a.m. So I'm just saying, like, no, you shouldn't praise people. You shouldn't hold them on a pedestal, but you should definitely wrap your arms around them. And when you see them succeed and you know the struggle that it took for them to get there, you should embrace that. So I'm not saying, you know, put people on a pedestal, but I'm just saying, like, you know, love on those people because they missed a lot of parts of life because of the sacrifice they had to make to pretty much do what they're doing. My other advice is to the business owners out there, like, you don't have to invest like thousands of dollars. Like, you can start with something so small. Like, my sister told me about an invention that she had, and I told her that, you know, you can go to the dollar store and do that. Like, why would you pay somebody to, you know, make a prototype when I'm like, I have a sewing machine. Like, we can make the prototype. And then once we sell these and you get the revenue, then we can go and we can get a manufacturer or a vendor. But like right now, like, we have to start from scratch. And it's not that we don't have the money. She works every day as a banker. It's not that you don't have it, but it's just like, why would you want to invest something? You need to know that it works first. Like, you need to see it working and see it moving and then see if you need to alter it. And then also, I want to say, don't be afraid to make mistakes. Like, a lot of people have asked me about a website. I think it's very important to have a website. And if you don't want to, like, I don't think it's any reason to wait. If you have one product, go ahead and create that website. And the reason why I say that is because, like, at Baddie Labs, we did a soft launch, which means that we kind of put our website out there to the world. We didn't tell friends. We didn't tell family. We put it out there to see what it can do. And when people start making purchases, then I got the feedback. PayPal's not working. Apple's not working. Blah, blah, blah's not working. Can you fix this? Your pictures are blurry. Like, so I got all of that feedback. So once I was ready to kind of say, like, hey, Facebook world, hey, everybody, like, Baddie Labs is a thing. There were already pictures that were uploaded. There was already, like, a history. And the more that social media and the more that people know you, the more that they're willing to purchase from you.
Absolutely.
Because, like, you have, like, more than just, like, one picture. Like, you actually have, like, things going. Like, it's built already. Exactly. So I want to say, like, don't wait to do that because you don't want to figure out your problems, like, in public.
Come on. Listen, that's the whole word right there.
And what other questions did you have? I think, what would I
You answered. Listen, you gave them from point A to point Z about anything, like if they wanted to launch a business, if you wanted to go back to school. So we thank you so much, Dr. B, for just dropping so much wisdom, your experiences, your trials and tribulations, and different things that you had to face. You are, look at me. Look, my Kamala Harris, because anything is possible. Your story was phenomenal, and I'm sure it blessed me and others. So I want to thank everyone who tuned in tonight. If you watch this replay, I appreciate you as well. Like, share this if you haven't already done so, and I appreciate everyone who tuned in. And you all have a great, great night. Thank you again, Dr. B. You have a great night as well. Okay.
Thank you guys. Take care. And remember,
also, wait.
Yeah.
How can they stay in contact with you?
Well, you can always come visit us at BaddieLabs.com. We do have some beautiful holiday boxes that are out. We have like the Build a Baddie kit, which is like $200 worth of products for $100. So this is a beautiful little box. I always have it right by my side because I'm always working on it, perfecting it, improving it. So this is the Build a Baddie kit. This is everything that you need to pretty much do your makeup besides the foundation. So you can find that at BaddieLabs.com. There are also 2 other boxes. You can also follow us on Instagram, which is at Baddie Labs. And then we're also on Facebook at Baddie Labs Cosmetics.
Okay. I'm putting that in the comments now, you all.
And one other thing I wanted to say, guys, like, make sure that you use all the free tools because Facebook has, I'm not advocating for Facebook, but what I'm saying is that they have the free tools and that's your audience. Like, you can build an audience on Facebook. So use all the tools that they have. You can build your business. You can create a shop. You can create a shop on Instagram. All these things are free to you. So if you're kind of afraid to like invest in a website, and I also want to mention, you can also do your website yourself step by step. So you just have to believe in yourself. It takes time, but some things are worth figuring out. So get on it sooner than later, because you don't want to come up with an invention and then somebody has the same idea and you never birthed your idea, yet you see somebody become a millionaire off of something that you thought of years ago. And that happens all the time.
All the time, y'all. So thank you. She did drop so much free game. We want to thank you again, Dr. B, for just coming on. Thank you everyone who tuned in, and you all stay in this is a woman that you will want to stay in contact with. Support her movement, support her cosmetic business. It's doing extremely well. She's phenomenal. So I thank you again. Thank you everyone. You all have a great night. Take care.
Bye guys. Thank you, Chanel.
Thank you. Bye.